Hi, I'm Cody Anderson, one of the pastors at Parker United Methodist Church. The seasons are a-changing. Have you noticed? I can't even begin to explain what spring looks like here in Colorado. In February, you're going through these very cold and dreary days, and you're wondering if the season will ever completely change into something warmer, something more green instead of white or dirty snow and ice. And then all of a sudden, there is this moment where it is just beautiful. The sun seems to be shining more and more. The temperatures begin to rise, and you have 60-degree days that are just gorgeous, where all you want to do is go out into your yard and begin planting all your beautiful flowers. We call it false spring. Because if you're new to Colorado, you might get sucked into that moment where you think like everything is great. Spring has finally arrived. There is no more hard winter that we have to go through. And then you get into reality. Well, reality hit us this week in Colorado. It went from 60-degree weathers to a blizzard warning. And while we didn't get the feet of snow that they were predicting, while we didn't get the huge blizzard, at least here on the Palmer Divide, that we were promised, it still snowed. You can see that in my backyard as the snow keeps falling off of the trees. It did snow. And it's a reminder to us that we are not out of this season yet. The season is transitioning into spring, but we're still going to have plenty of days of snow. When March and April are our snowiest months, we're going to be getting some snow. We in the church are also going through a changing of the season. This shift in focus where we have been focused on Jesus's birth and Epiphany and what that all means for us in our world and in our lives. And now we're moving into this season of Lent. Lent is that season, that journey that takes us with Jesus all the way to the cross and resurrection. Now, a lot of us want to skip that journey, right? We want to do what we do in Colorado, which is hold on tightly to those resurrection moments, to Easter, and forget about all the hard places that we have to journey to get there. But my friends, I want to encourage you to not rush through this season, to not wish this season away, but to really lean into the season this year. We find ourselves in a really complicated world right now, a world that feels really heavy, a world that is changing beneath our feet, a world where a lot of us feel a little confused, a little worn out, burdened by all that is going on. And we wonder if we're going to make it to spring. We wonder if we're going to make it to resurrection. How do we hold on to hope? How do we move through this season with grace and love when all we want to do is to scream and yell or maybe hide from it all? Well, during the season of Lent, it gives us this beautiful opportunity. This opportunity to be able to slow down, to find space to retreat. Now, a lot of people during Lent, they add a spiritual practice, something that can help ground them during this season, something that they can do intentionally that will add to their faith. And we're going to give you some of those ideas. And they might actually be life-giving to you in this season that we're going through, and hopefully will help ground you. For others during Lent, they give something up. a fast, if you will. Most of us don't like to fast. It's kind of a scary word. You want me to give up food? You want me to give up fun? You want me to give up things that I love? But sometimes those things hold us back, right? I know that if I'm on my phone and I am on social media, that can be a distraction. It can hold me back from being able to see God at work around me. And so I have to think about, what are those things that are holding me back that I might need to give up? Now you can do either. You can do nothing. God still loves you. That's what I tell the preschoolers this week, is that no matter what, God still loves you. But these are tools to help us to be able to draw closer to God, to use this season not just to hold up in our homes, but to be able to grow and to experience and to be able to find life within it. So, I have this wonderful book called Creating a Life with God, The Call of Ancient Prayer Practices by Daniel Wolpert. I actually found this book years and years ago when I first started youth ministry, so 20 years ago, and it has wonderful ways for you to be able to find spiritual practices from people centuries ago who found them to be really helpful. Ash Wednesday starts off our Lent experience, and it's a time for us to really reflect, to examine our lives, to be able to apologize, to ask for forgiveness for the ways that we have done things wrong, the hurt that we have caused, the harm in relationships with others and with God that are holding us back. Ash Wednesday is that reminder for us that life is fragile, that we all are made from dust, and from dust we were created, and dust we will return. So it is that symbolic piece for us, a space for us to be able to reflect on our lives. Reflect. So one of the chapters in this book is called The Examine, God in Day-to-Day Life. And it reminds us of how important it is for us to really take a look at what is going on in our lives, to examine how we are feeling, what we're going through, and how we might be able to grow and to do better. Excuse me. This spiritual practice comes from Ignatius of Loyola. You may have heard about the Examine. First, it's about setting a quiet time to really be able to focus and to think about, why am I doing this? What is my intention for this? And then there are these questions that I think might help you this Lent season. The first question is, what are the feelings of life and love that stir in me of movement towards God? What is stirring within me? What is giving me life and love, and that is moving me forward in my relationship with God? The next question, what thoughts or memories leave me feeling dry, dead, stale, and thus move me away from the vitality of a living Creator? What are those things that are holding me back? I love that visual, feeling dry, dead, or stale. And then Ignatius tells us to carefully observe the whole course of our thoughts. Do our thoughts begin with feelings of light and love, but end with emptiness? And finally, do I continue to desire and love God even if I am struggling with something painful? These questions are a good base for us to be able to really dig deep into what's going on in our lives, to figure out what is life-giving in this season. What is making me feel dried up, like stale, like there's no life that is in that's keeping me away from my relationship with God? Are my feelings and thoughts, do they start with love but end with emptiness? Are the things that I'm doing, does it start out of a good place but has left me feeling empty and alone? And do I continue to desire to love God even when life becomes hard? These are just some of the questions that might be helpful for you during this season. But I encourage you to find space to really reflect, to sit with God, to examine your life and your actions and your thoughts, and to think about those things that are life-giving to you, and those things that maybe you need to give up because they're leaving you feeling empty, alone, not really moving towards God. This season, the season of change, is about moving closer towards God. Even when life gets hard, continuing to pick up your cross and follow Jesus. Because while it might become really difficult, while it might even feel like it's leading us to death, we have to hold on to that hope that new life is there for us, that death is not the end, and that there is hope for us all. So, another tool that I want to leave you with at the beginning of this season is this daily guide that comes from Kate Bowler. We talk about her a lot and the way that she has moved through the world through in her faith with dealing with a devastating cancer diagnosis. She writes a lot of wonderful benedictions, and she actually has this really great Lent guide. So if you look up Kate Bowler, Bowler, on the internet, you'll find this devotion called The Hardest Part on her website. Hurt we carry, but hope we find. And there's an individual one, and there's also a group guide. So if you want to get together with a group and be able to do that together, there's questions there on a weekly meetup. But I want to leave you today with a blessing for Ash Wednesday, and a blessing for this season to come. These days of dust, these days of despair, reality speaks to us clearly, so we approach carefully, hesitantly, barely ready to hear the hard truths. We long to be told about the beauty and terror of mortality. How strange it feels, so right and so good to move forward together, wearing our finite like a badge, a mess of ash, a reminder, you are dust, and to dust you shall return. How strange it feels, so right and so good, to stand at the edge of awareness, the balance point between being and non-being. I catch my breath as I look and see shining faces. I see it all in an instant. How precious, how holy, how fleeting and infinite each imperfect life. How beautiful, how stubborn, how unfinishable each single existence. We wear this truth moving forward together, our dust shining like radiant hope. My friends, as the seasons change, as we enter into this season of Lent, as we enter into the space of remembering our mortality and carrying the hard things, as we enter into this time where we're asked to be intentional and to take a step back, may we recognize the things that are life-giving to us and the things that are leaving us empty. May we give up that which is keeping us from God and lean into those places where we experience love and life. And may we truly take time to embrace this immortal life, all of the challenges and the burdens, and let us hold on to that hope the hope that the seasons will change, the hope of new life. Have a blessed Lent season.